Good day, grade 10s. Welcome to your IT lesson. We are going to be starting with our Delphi session, and I'm going to take you through the different components that you will be using in Delphi. Today, we are going to discuss the panel. Okay, so there are various components that you had already started using before we closed school. You learned about the edit, you learned how to use a label, a button, and a bit button. So today what we're going to look at is the panel. Okay, so the panels are used to give you more information, to give your form a more professional look. You can use the bevel inner and bevel outer properties to change the frame of a panel. So as you can see here, I have set bevel inner to be lower. So the inner side, now bevel means the distance between the panel and the component inside. So bevel inner, I want lowered, and my bevel outer, I want it to be raised so that it almost looks like it is a frame. So as you can see, it's a much neater look than just having a straight panel. So up here is an example of a panel that I've inserted on a form. To find it, you go to your tool palette and you will type in panel and you will find it under the standard components. A panel is often used to visually split up a form. It can be used to act as a container for other components. So what that means is I can place other components inside my panel. So as you can see here, there's a button and an image. Over here, I have a button and two bit buttons. A panel has a caption property that can be used to provide information or for output of text. So as you can see there, it says panel 1. So I can actually use a panel to display information to my user. Okay, so let us take a look at activity 26. This is page 26 in your blue textbook, the Enjoy Delphi Part 1. And I would like you to design, if your Delphi is working, please design this form. I have added all the names that you need for your components. So as you can see, that is a panel. Then we've got 3 labels, 3 edits, another panel. Inside the panel, I'm going to place let's quickly see what another panel inside. So do you see I've used here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 panels in different ways, all just to add to the to make it more friendly for the user. Okay, so let's quickly take a look at what we call the different ones. So EDT grade, EDT name, EDT surname. These are my edits. So EDT grade, EDT surname, EDT name. Then I've got LBL name. So remember, my prefixes must define what the type of component is. EDT stands for edit. LBL stands for label. PNL is going to stand for panel. The BMB, so here they just kept it as bit button, but we prefer to use BMB. So BMB reset, BMB close. Okay, there's an image. Normally I would use IMG, and those are the different components. So make sure that you have named them correctly. As you can see here, over here is a panel, but it's called panel output. Okay, there's panel heading, here's panel output, but there's no caption on it. Okay, so let us look at our instructions, what you need to do here. So once you've designed it, before you even type your first letter of code, make sure that you've clicked on your Save All. Okay, so that you can save, and you need it. Remember, you first create your folder, call it activity_26. Inside there, if you click Save All, it's going to give you two saving options. The first is going to save your PAS file. So that would be activity_26 underscore P for project, and for the unit. Sorry, activity_26_U for my unit. And then your project, you're going to save as activity_26_P for project. Okay, so let's take a look at what it needs to do. I want a panel with a bevel width set to 2. Now that I'm going to set in my object inspector. It contains a label to display information. Then I want a panel as a container for my buttons. There we go. Then what I would want is the bevel inner is set to be lowered, and the bevel outer must be raised to give you the feeling of a frame, as I stated before. Then a panel for output, place a label. So what you can't see there, there's actually a label on there, but you're going to leave your caption empty so that it mustn't display anything initially. It must only display once I have clicked on the display button. Okay, let's carry on. So now, very importantly, the only button, say for example, you double click over there or something, it is going to create, I'm going to quickly show you in Delphi what happens if you click on the wrong place by accident. So I double click and whoops, I have now created a section that shouldn't actually be there. So as you can see, it's created a new procedure, form create, and up there under my type, it is going to create a form create. Now, how am I going to remove this? So first part, what you're going to do is you are going to highlight that section and you're going to press delete. Okay. And then very importantly, you must go and delete the procedure under type also. So I'm going to press delete, and then I would save my document. Okay. So let's go back to our activity. So what we've now said is I want my inner and the outer, and I'm going to display something. Okay, so let's quickly look at the settings for the inner and outer bevel. I'm going to click on my panel, and as you can see there, my bevel is lowered and the bevel width is going to be 1 there. Then the bevel outer must be raised. So let's just go and check, is that what I had required? Okay, actually, no, it's not. I want my bevel width set to 2. So let's go back and we are going to quickly fix that. So over here, bevel width, change that to 2. Okay, and you press enter. Okay, there we go. So it's a little more defined than if it was just 1. Okay. So the next part is, so we've said there, and then our output panel must be empty. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we are actually going to start the coding part. So we didn't have much coding before the time, so we're going to practice this more often. If you do not have Delphi, you can just code in Notepad++. I will also copy all the information in a Word document, and you can type straight into a Word document for me. Just please remember, download the document, save it onto your device or your Google Drive. There is a problem at the moment with Google Drive with uploading. It will accept any, if it's a Google Doc or anything saved from your Google Drive. So if you're struggling to submit your work, please save it into your Google Drive first, then submit it. Don't just submit straight from the PC, upload the file. Because quite a few students have been struggling with that at the moment. Okay, so let's read the instructions. Event handler, that is the term we use for the code. Okay, so if I say write the event handler for button display, I'm saying write the code for button display. So write an on-click event. So now what do I mean by on-click? Do you see here on the object inspector? There are properties and there are, let me just click on our display button. So there's properties and then there are events. Now events are what action must this component do? So we've got an on click, there's an on drag drop, the different ones on enter, there's on mouse. Later on I'm going to teach you a very fun game of chasing the mouse that you're going to have to try and do. And there's all different events that I can use. Okay, so when I say write an on-click event handler, you don't have to go to events. All you have to do is double click on the display button and it's going to create your on-click event. What I would like it to do, the following is an example of the message that needs to be displayed when the user clicks the button. Ashley Peters, you are registered for grade 10. That is the typical example of what I want to display in my panel output. Also, I want you to be able to reset your bit button. Okay, so very easily, you are going to, here is my code. So if I double click, you will see there is my display. Okay, and I will write there. So panel output. Now, this part of your code is the method. So this is my component. And now I'm saying, what must I do with my component? Okay. So if you're not sure what to press, you can press full stop and spacebar. And then what it will do is it will give you a list of methods that you can use. So what I want here is I want the caption because I want to display something. So instead of setting my caption in the object inspector, I'm now setting it in my code itself. So what am I going to set? So edit name.text here, I'm using my edit name. My method for the edit is going to be dot text. So I'd like you to make notes of this so that you know what method fits by each component. Okay, so panel output is dot caption and edits use dot text. Now to join sentences together, it is called concatenate. Very big fancy word for saying plus or add. Okay, so add this, the name plus. Now what is this? This here, if I have two single quotes, if it's two single quotes straight next to each other, it is an empty string. But if I place a space in between, then it is actually a string with a space. Now why would I do that? I do that so that my sentence makes sense, that it is name space surname. Okay, so here we are declaring, we haven't started with variables, we will do that shortly. So in the meantime, we're going to declare everything using our components. So edt name.text plus a space, edt surname.text plus, now I'm going to create a string. And you see, as soon as I place it in a string, it is going to highlight in blue. So you know immediately these are words that are going to, it can be words, characters, numbers, strings, or anything that we use to display. Integers we use for calculations like real and Boolean and so forth. Okay, so here I'm going to enter the string, make sure I've got an extra space on either side. You are registered for grade, but now because I've created an edit box where they're going to enter what grade they are, I'm going to read the function from edtgrade.text. Okay, then the next part is the reset bit button. Okay, so to get to that is I would double click on my reset, and as you can see, now very importantly, why do I want to reset my edits? Because have you ever tried to fill in a form that each time you want to add a new record, you first have to go and delete everything? That's a little annoying. Remember, the whole point of programming is it must be a user-friendly. So the user must enjoy using your program. Okay, so how to clear an edit box? I simply say dot clear. That's my method. Surname, these are all edit box. Then what is set focus? Now set focus, what it does is it takes my cursor, say I'm over here, when I click on set focus, it's going to take my cursor and put it to the very first position, the very first instance, right back at the top. Okay, so I'm saying on when I click the reset, clear everything from the name, surname, and grade, and then place my cursor back into the edit name so that the user knows where they have to start typing. Okay, so, and then our panel output, we want to display as empty again. Okay, see, that is actually very easy. And here you've learned 3 things. You've learned how to use a panel. You've learned how to concatenate, so how to join strings, and you have learned how to clear your reset button. Okay, so in an exam, let's see, I would give you 1 mark here for caption. I would give you a mark for each field, so EDT text, the surname, and maybe about 4 marks here, just for this little string handle. Okay. Okay, so, sorry, I've now bounced through. Okay, so here is my program in runtime. I'm going to show you in the actual program. Now, how do I click run? I can either click on the little play button, the green button, or if you are in a hurry, you're going to press F9. And let's just, as you can see, I had created, so I had to remove some of those where I double clicked. You just say yes. And we wait for it to run. Okay, so there we go. There's my program. So I'm going to enter here Ashley, Ashley, and what was her certain Peters, and she is in grade 10. And where do I want it? I want to display at the bottom here. I'm going to click display, and there we go. Ashley Peters, you are registered for grade 10. Now the next person's going to come along, and I'm going to click reset. Do you see where my cursor is? It's gone back to the name field. So this time I'm going to say Mary Poppins. Okay, and Mary Poppins is going to grade 8, and we're going to display, and there we have Mary Poppins, you are registered for grade 8. Okay, very, very easy. I'd like you to go and try this. Remember, if you don't have Delphi, that's okay. My final Delphi exam was a 3-hour written Delphi exam. I had no computer. I had to be able to write my code. So get used to writing the code. But if you do have access to a computer, I want you to get used to typing. So the more you can type now while you are at home, the better. Because in the exam time, you're going to have 4 questions that you need to be able to code in a very, very short time. Okay, so the quicker you can type, the easier it's going to be. Okay, so great. Thank you very much for joining me. I will be posting shortly another lesson. I will post this as an activity for you, and you will be able to do that in your own time. Have a great day. Thanks so much.